Little disclaimer, Sett and Nina are finally going to unite, but it's going to be pretty harsh, so you might want to hold on to your heart. The chapter starts with Sett stopping by the spring, being completely done with his life. When he goes to drink water, he sees the priest's face in the reflection instead of his own. It makes him feel so disgusted that he feels like vomiting. Then he thinks about how it is an unrewarding destiny and begins to accept the fact that he is just like the priest that he hated. On the other hand, we see Yor giving orders, telling the guards and the prisoners to repair the broken walls before the snow accumulates. Nina wonders aloud why the jailers are following his orders. Sul tells her that as long as he's there, they have no other choice. And when she asks him why he doesn't give orders, he explains that everyone has separate roles. His role isn't to lead, while her role is that of the charismatic sovereign. As he asks what she plans to do next, she looks back at Azure, wondering about her next move. Then a guard calls Sul away to check on a machine, and she goes toward Azure, asking what he's doing or if he needs any help. He responds by saying that he's maintaining his sword because someone used it carelessly, and since that someone was her, she panics, but he quickly smiles and says he is just kidding. She is left flustered as his smile sends a shiver up her spine, but then she notices the bracelet she gave him. He has tied it to his sword, keeping it with him the whole time. She reaches out to take it because it is torn, offering to make him a new, better one. He declines, saying that he will treasure this one forever. Seeing that smile again, she gets flustered and hits him, telling him it's not fair before fleeing to find Anne. Then another wall falls because of the bomb, hurting some people. Nina and Anne come over, asking if they can help treat those who were injured, but Yor yells at them, saying that there is no work for women and that they should get lost before their feelings can be hurt. Sul explains that he is actually trying to say it is dangerous. While they talk, Anne notices a key on the ground and goes to pick it up. She gets close to a broken section of the floor as Yor tells her not to interfere. Suddenly, the ceiling cracks. Before she can get hurt, Yor grabs her hand and pulls her to safety. Immediately after, he turns bright red and calls her a foolish maidservant while stuttering. He acts outraged that she made him touch her and tells her to go ahead and ridicule him. And Nina just stands there clueless. Meanwhile, Sul whispers that he's a bit bashful because when he was little, he turned bright red when a girl held his hand, and he has been like this ever since. Even now, he's blushing hard, telling Anne to mock him for being an unfit prince of Galgada, just like other women do. But instead, she takes his hand again, telling him that she's a girl of that age herself, and that when a man takes her hand, she turns red as well, asking if he finds that laughable. While still stuttering, he says he doesn't. She tells him it's not unusual at all and thanks him for saving her. However, when Sul tries to tease him again, Nina silenced him. She finally realizes Yor doesn't hate women. He just avoids them because they make him blush. She remembers how he filled the Blackwing with only handsome men, which had made her think he wasn't interested in women at all. Hearing this, Sul thinks about how he had suggested that all-male idea on top of his head while he was at the palace, never thinking they would actually follow it. After that, Azure calls out to Nina, telling her that he would like to talk to her. Once they are alone, he tells her that they should make their escape and return to Fortna immediately. She is a little surprised by how sudden this is and protests, saying there are still things that need to be taken care of at the prison. But he argues back that the rest is for the people of this land to handle and that there is nothing for her to do here, explaining that the front gates are already being repaired and a team of investigators from Galgada will arrive soon. This is their only chance to get away, but leaving right now doesn't feel right to her. However, she realizes that he is the ruler and must return, and that he only came to this place to rescue her. As the wind blows, she is reminded of his wound. She really doesn't like the idea of him getting hurt when he's off somewhere without her, so she starts agreeing to go with him. But then she remembers Sett and that if she leaves now, she'll probably never see him again. She really can't decide what to do, and seeing her struggle, he gently caresses her face, telling her that he would like to let her stay as long as she likes, to finish the things she has worked so hard on. But because they don't have that luxury this time, he says that they must return. return. Agreeing with him, Soul joins their conversation. Nina tries to give him an explanation, but he says he doesn't really need one. All he knows is that they shouldn't stay here any longer, giving them two main reasons. First, she isn't the real Princess Alicia, so her staying here only fans the flames. Second, she is one of the star people. Even then, Nina tries to argue back, saying that she's not part of the royal family, but she stops herself, while Soul wonders how they managed to hide her identity for this long, thinking that maybe the palace was full of fools. He explains that the star people are wanderers, so it's rare for one to be born of noble birth. Azure, being his protective self, asks him what his goal is. Soul insists he doesn't want to fight because he's no longer a servant of Galgada. He is simply interested in the star people. He asks Nina if she isn't curious about her own roots, making her think about how neither of her parents had blue eyes and the fact that they had always hidden her eyes. Looking at her thinking so hard, Azure asks her not to worry about it. Soul also adds that in this situation, their best choice is to return to Fortna because they can't accomplish anything here. He even agrees to go with them to guarantee her safety and to keep Galgada at bay, but in the end, he leaves the final decision to her. However, she is still in dilemma. She takes her time to think about what she really wants to do, but before she decides, they suddenly hear a noise by the gate and the guard calling Sett's name. As soon as she hears his name, she ran to see him. She thinks to herself that she has to clear up the misunderstanding between them, but just as she reaches the outside of the gate, she finds him standing there, looking exhausted with heavy bags under his eyes. He cold-heartedly tells her not to dodge and suddenly uses his sword to rip off the scarf that Azure had wrapped around her. Azure instantly jumps between them, using his own sword to defend her, while she stands there completely shocked. Sett looks at her with dull eyes and tells her that this is his answer. This is the answer he reached after trying to love. She tries to explain herself, saying that she didn't poison him and asking him not to believe a single word Prince Toad says, but he already doesn't care about anything. He pulls his sword away from Azure and charges straight for her. Luckily, Soul arrives just in time to save her. He tries to lighten the mood with his usual talk, but Sett isn't listening to a word. He aims for her again, but both Azure and Soul step in front to shield her. Seeing this, he climbs up on some boxes and tries to shoot her with his gun, but Soul manages to dodge that as well. This is when Yor and Anne join the scene, completely confused about what is happening. Soul quickly asks them to take Nina to the central tower and lock it from the inside, and when she tries to protest, Soul reminds her that she's his target. They rush her away, wondering what she could have possibly done to cause this, while she's thinking the exact same thing. Even now, she doesn't understand why he's acting this way. Inside the tower, they talk about what's going on, wondering if Nina failed to tell Sett the truth about the poisoning or if Soul can get him under control. Yor mentions that the monster outside is Battlefield Sett, so there is no guarantee they will survive unscathed, making Nina panic, so she decides to go back out there, but Anne stops her. She asks her a very difficult question. Whose sake is she going back for? Is it for Sett? Is it because Azure is in danger, or is it just for herself? She also adds that almost everyone in the palace thought the two of them would end up happy together, but now she figures that Nina loves someone else, asking her if that messenger is the one where her heart truly belongs. Nina begins to explain herself again, saying she never meant for things to happen this way, but Anne tells her that to Sett, this looks like an ugly betrayal, making her finally realizes what she has done. She tries to justify it by thinking that she actually did care about Sett, but then she remembers about how she was planning to go back to Fortna and how she lied to him about being Alicia, getting tears in her eyes. That's why when Yor is trying to figure out what is happening outside, she asks him to move so she can calls out to Soul and Azure, telling them to come back to the tower because she has a plan. Though it isn't easy for them to pull back, they thankfully manage to make it inside. Soul asks about her plan, but before explaining, she says she has to tell Azure something important. When they are alone, she reminds him of the time she said she would die for him. She tells him she can't keep that promise anymore, and he is completely okay with it. But then she says that she'll leave the heart that loves him right there with him. She throws the key out and jumps from the small window. Since the tower is locked from the inside and the window is too small for anyone else to fit through, the rest of them are trapped with no choice but to stay there. As Nina runs down the stairs, she thinks about how being with Azure makes her heart pound and feel like she's walking on clouds, but she isn't sure if that's actually love. However, she's certain that Sett has picked up on her lies, so she finally reaches him and tells him that she will accept everything he's mad about. He laughs and throws her against the wall, asking if she's really going to accept everything, even if it kills her. Then he forcefully kisses her, saying that it is all right since there is love in it. She tries to tell him that it's different, but he cuts her off, reminding her that she agreed to accept anything: domination, humiliation.
Without love, it's nothing. It's meaningless. It's poop.
It's what? It's poop?
It's poop.
He then calls her a liar, even calling love an unpleasant feeling. To him, it is no different from the man who used to beat and control him. He says that he would have preferred to be alone, but then he corrects himself, saying that he was always alone and that she was never really there, making her realize again that she was the one who left him after telling him that he should try to fall in love with her and that things would be different if he found something truly special. But now she realizes that she herself barely knew what love was. She cries and apologizes to him, explaining that her feelings just couldn't keep up with everything happening and insists that she wasn't lying. She really was trying to be happy with him back then. However, he is done listening. He feels sick and wants to end everything. Having made up his mind that he will never listen to her again, he pushes her to the ground and says he doesn't need love. He doesn't need anything special. As she continues to cry, she thinks that if there is nothing left, if he truly wants her life, she is willing to give it to him. After all, her body is the only thing she has ever truly owned. That's when he takes out his gun. And as he's about to shoot her, his bird Nina flies toward them, but it's too late. He fires and the bird falls to the ground. Nina, still crying, rushes to the bird and tries to wake her, but she isn't moving. Meanwhile, Sett remains lost in his own darkness, muttering that he has nothing left, that he will kill everything. Looking at him, she realizes she cannot give him her life at all. If she dies here, nothing will ever change. She will get nothing across to him, neither joy, nor sadness, nor affection. With that realization, she stands up, filled with determination, because she cannot teach him any of that if she is dead. She strikes his sword with a stick to get it out of the way, then she hugs him tightly, telling him that no one is going to kill her and that she won't let him die either. She manages to take his gun and declares that she's in charge now. All she has to do is stay out of his sword's range and not talk to him. She begins to run, and as he chases her, he starts attacking the bystanders. She realizes she has to lure him somewhere alone, somewhere they can talk, otherwise he will hurt everyone. So she runs beyond the prison walls. Meanwhile, his mind is in chaos. He thinks to himself, why can't I just kill her? He knows he could do it in the blink of an eye. There should be nothing left holding him back. If he did it, he would finally be free from the delusion of attachment. Then he remembers how the priest killed himself, realizing he doesn't want to end up like that. He doesn't want to be like him. He's clearly losing his mind. One part of him wants to eliminate Nina, while another doesn't want her to die. Deep down, he wishes that someone, anyone, would just hurry up and stop him. She finally reaches the bridge, while he arrives moments later and asks if she isn't going to run any further. But she wasn't running to escape. She was waiting for him. She tells him that although there were things she kept from him, but everything she did tell him was the absolute truth. He tells her to be silent, but it feels as if he is trapped deep underwater, where there is no sound, no light, and everyone looks like shadows, everyone except her. She alone produces light. Her voice alone reaches him. She says she will keep repeating the truth until he believes her, but he doesn't want to listen at all. His head feels like it is going to burst, and he doesn't even know why she brought him to this deserted place. Here, there is no one to kill him and no one to stop him. Now the only thing left for him to do is kill her. But before he can act, a massive rumbling begins. A storm erupts, shaking the bridge and everything around it violently. When the trembling finally finally stops, Nina tries to call for a ceasefire. But before she can finish her sentence, the bridge beneath her feet suddenly snaps and breaks apart. In that split second, Sett shoves her to safety as the bridge collapses, but he begins to fall himself. She lunges forward and grabs his sleeve, begging him to pull himself up, but he has no will left to live. He smiles at her and asks her to let go, but she refuses, telling him he is important to her, that he's special because she was the one who found him and that she wants to make him happy, but he pulls his sleeve from her grip, choosing to fall. As he drops, he sees a vision of the priest below, telling him that he has finally chosen his own death and suicide is the only true love, welcoming him to eternal hell. He thinks to himself that he should have done this a long time ago. Then he hears Nina's voice again. She didn't stay on the bridge, she jumped after him. In midair, she grabs his hand, thinking that she will never let him go. She wants to save him, she wants to protect him, and that's how they both fall into the darkness together. Now, some people say she only did this because she felt guilty and that her heart actually belongs to Azure. Personally, I'm not sure if I believe that because her bond with Sett seems very real to me. What do you all think? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Thankfully, both of them are alive. Nina's powers saved them at the last second, a massive gust of wind breaking their fall. When Sett wakes up, she tells him what happened and tries to ask if he's alright, if he's hurt anywhere, but he can't bring himself to speak. She says she'll go find help, but suddenly her nose begins to bleed. She wonders what's wrong for only a moment before she collapses unconscious. He watches her while trapped in his dark thoughts. He tells himself that he will hurt her again many times and that he will keep doing so for the rest of his life over and over until this life is finally taken from him. Sett doesn't want it to be like this anymore. He can't stand being the person who hurts her, and that's when we see him returning to his younger, wounded self, closing the door Nina once managed to open. He shuts her out to protect her from himself. Reading this chapter was an absolute roller coaster ride. I'll admit I had a bit of a salty taste towards Sett when I first read it because he did do wrong. However, I also found myself feeling really bad for him, and honestly, that might just be a fault in me. Anyways, that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for listening to me. Take care of yourself and goodbye.
If you're sticking by my side, maybe we could be okay. Okay, maybe you could be the change.